Welcome everybody to Main Street Mental Health. We have another episode. This one I'm very excited about. It's about music and mental health, and with us today is Shawndell Marks, a recording artist from same area of the state as I'm in, and I think she has some experiences that might be very telling and helpful. We're gonna have a little conversation about that. Welcome, Shawndell. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me. It's an
Yeah.
honor.
Yeah. Well, start us off with just telling a little bit about you and the types of things you're involved in.
Well, I'm a full-time musician and I am in four bands locally, and I also teach music, piano, voice, and songwriting. And as a full-time musician, you often need to piece together uh, ways that you can bring in an income making money.
Right.
And fortunately, I love doing all of it. So I'm really grateful that I get to do what I love and make money at it.
Mhm. Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. The tapestry is just weaving it all together.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
From your own experience, and I know you've been involved in music for quite a long time since you were quite young. How has it affected, your life in terms of your mental health and have you seen some positives, with it and in terms of helping you maybe overcome the trials and tribulations of life?
Oh, absolutely. Music is important on so many levels, including mental health. And I went through a traumatic experience in my early 20s and turned to music to cope, and not really understanding the science behind it at that time. But since then, I have understood that music it relaxes us. It's good for the nervous system.
Mhm.
Releases dopamine, which is the pleasure neurotransmitter.
Right.
It also lowers cortisol.
Hmm. Hmm.
So all of these things that I've learned since using music early in my life, and the way that I used that was I put my hurt into words. And songs are just such a beautiful way to do that because you can take what's on your mind, take what's bothering you, and literally, well, maybe not literally, I guess, but it's a formula. You can put it into um, a formula that allows you to name it and make sense of it. And when it's in song form, the beautiful part of that is you also share it. If you choose, not everyone does,
Right.
but
Right.
if you choose to share it, then that can also, it's cyclical in a way because then that music can help
Right.
calm somebody's nervous system.
Resonates out into the cosmos, and then obviously things come back to you at times, right? Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. So it's therapeutic for the songwriter,
Mhm.
and the listener can often relate to the lyrics. But yeah, music really is unifying.
Right. It's interesting. I guess it'd be like 2 years ago now. I took a training on polyvagal approaches to mental health, and that's really kind of dealing with mainly the vagus nerve, which is a nerve. They call it the wanderer, which I like that name. But it
Yeah,
starts in kind of the midbrain in our emotional centers of our middle of our brain and goes down. It connects to the vocal cords. It goes to your heart. It goes to your diaphragm, and then it wanders out, across to your upper torso, basically. And that is incredibly important in your nervous system in terms of if it's activated, it helps regulate your nervous system. If it's hurt or injured or not activated, then your nervous system kind of runs the show. And often, as you know, any experience can kind of trigger things to be, more anxiety provoking or stress, cortisol, you mentioned things like that. So when I heard about that singing, chanting, humming are some of the best ways to stimulate the vagus nerve. I'm like, huh, no wonder in my entire life, I'm walking down a hall, I'm driving my vehicle, wherever I'm going, I'm humming, singing, you know,
yeah,
crazy,
yeah.
whatever, and it's like, huh, that's probably been my number one go-to without really knowing it, and
And often when we listen to music, you see people, they put their hands on their chest or they close their eyes because it's where you feel it the most. So that makes sense. The vagus nerve. I would like to learn more about that.
I mean, when we've had our hearts broken, often we feel it right.
Hmm.
And that is actually an injured vagus nerve at that moment. And
Wow.
there's a physiological response to, you know, they say it's just an emotional thing. It's, system wide basically. So, yeah.
Wow.
Now I know you've had the opportunity and you've done a variety of things in not only do you play music and so on and so forth, but you also run groups. You've run groups in the past that deal with a variety of things. I mean, kind of I guess my simplistic view of it, and I hope you can expand on it, is getting people out of their comfort zone sometimes and expanding their kind of horizons and doing things that are outside of their box. Tell us more about those
Yeah.
experiences.
Well, part of my teaching, and I'm also doing music for wellness sessions.
Mm,
And, oftentimes the students that come to me, my adult students in particular, come to me for voice lessons because that feels safer than something like music for wellness.
right.
But it turns into music for wellness.
Hmm.
And they come in and they want to learn how to sing. And as they use their voice, as it gets stronger, they gain confidence. Um, there was one of my students who suffered from anxiety pretty badly,
Hmm.
and it was starting to interfere with her work. And so she came to me, and we wrote a chant that was pretty simple, but they were her words, and they were her words that she needed to hear. And so when she would feel that anxiety welling up, she
Right.
had that chant in her pocket to pull out and she started singing it. And that
She was able to carry on with her day or
she
whatever.
was able, yes, yes.
Yeah.
And that it's so rewarding to see how that can really help people.
Hmm.
Anxiety is so common these days.
It's number
So
one
I
now.
feel like,
It's the number one mental
is
health
it?
issue seen. Yeah. Yeah. It used to be depression, anxiety. I think the uncertainty of the world and COVID kind of spurred
Yeah,
on a lot of uncertainty and fears of the unknown. So,
yeah, that instability feels like. So music can be another tool.
right. Right.
Yes. And you mentioned workshops. I do music for wellness events,
Hmm.
which covers, um, sound healing, the sound bowls,
Hmm.
and sometimes we dance. One of the things that I love to do is make up music on the spot, and it's usually pretty calming because it's easier for my brain because it's slower, so I can come up with things.
Sure.
But I've dabbled with some seeing how that kind of music affects the participants, and it's I mean it's remarkable how people can walk away. Again, I mean, I guess we're on a theme here, but just a calmer nervous system.
Hmm. Right. Right. Wonderful. Yeah. I had a visit from a MD, maybe a year ago or so, and I had not heard anything about frequencies. And he's like, you don't talk about frequencies with the people you work with? He goes, yeah. And he goes, well, there's 432, hertz. And then there's another one, I think it was 528, I believe it was. And he says, one of them heals genetic, kind of down at a level of mitochondria. And one
Wow.
is also the kind of fights anxiety, depression, wellness kind of things. And it really helps those kind of things. So I believe actually my office that I generally work in now, I'm listening to the music. I'm like, I think that's the 432 they're piping through the sound system now. They had some other stuff that was really loud and people were complaining about them. And it's like, why don't you guys try these 432 hertz and 528 hertz? And I think they've switched and it is relaxing. It's like just, a very mellowing. Uh,
Yeah, I love how the science is catching up with what we know
right.
just intuitively.
Yeah, and there's a variety of other, that you can research that a little bit too. But no doubt you've hit on some of those hurts, in terms of hurts for hurts. Hey, there's probably something there.
Oh, there we go. The next workshop name.
Next workshop, hurts for hurts. Yeah. Um, yeah, but also just, you utilizing creativity and those are different parts of the brain, that often, for people that are struggling with various parts of their life, maybe they've kind of just stuffed that down for a long period of time and they haven't tapped into it. So it sounds like you giving that opportunity to people, you've seen the benefits. You've seen people walk in kind of maybe timid and anxious and leave exhilarated and with a smile on their face. So
Yeah. And the performance opportunity too is another aspect of how wonderful this is because it brings people together and my students are able to share their songs and like you mentioned earlier, get out of their comfort zones. When I
mhm.
first mentioned performing, they're like, no, no, that's okay. I don't need to perform. But then as we work together and I tell them that this is a supportive environment and your friends and family will be there. And then they kind of warm up to the idea. So I have, well, you've been part of them. It's
Mhm.
just really a wonderful environment to see uh, the people who, first of all, said absolutely not. And then they step up and do it anyway. And everybody in the room is affected in a positive
They're
way.
still talking about that group that you helped out with.
Oh,
They're still
wow.
talking about it. Those individuals that participated, as well as the other staff, they're still talking about it.
Oh,
And they're
that's
going, when are you doing it again? So we were kidding around. Hey, we need a winter sonata, maybe a winter
yes.
sonata and a summer sonata.
Yes. We
And
should
so
figure that out.
when the stars align properly, that's when that'll happen. But I'm such a newbie to this whole, in terms of music and performing and things like that. And I did have the opportunity of performing at my church a couple weeks ago, and I wrote a song and I was able to perform it. And I did it was kind of, I don't know how this is going to go, but and we practiced it once before,
Oh,
one time
wow.
through, and with two guitarists and myself. And I said, "You guys play guitar because I have my learner's permit, and that's about it."
Great.
And it was like, wow, that went okay. And when you do get feedback, it's like, thank you, but the joy of the individuals that come up to say thanks for doing that, that's the part that's the most rewarding, is just seeing
Hmm.
their smiles or in this situation it was tears. I'm like, oh my goodness, they have tears in their eyes, and I'm like, what power that has, in terms of um, lifting people up. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And I am inspired by you too, because you just picked up the guitar how long ago?
about a year ago.
Yeah. And to see like the show that we did in August.
Right.
Uh, and yeah, you're a perfect example of what we're talking about
Right,
right now.
yeah, I guess to some degree, yeah, getting out of my comfort zone. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah. And writing songs
yeah.
and affecting other people, like the groups that you work
I
with.
think the writing of the songs, writing the lyrics is probably that's the most rewarding part.